Cognizant of the fact that the COVID-19 pandemic had further exacerbated the fight against gender-based violence, certain measures have been implemented by the Cameroonian government as a follow-up of other efforts done in other countries or by the international community. The following presentation is a review of an attempt to root out these acts of violation of human rights directed to an individual to his or her gender or sex. At the international level, the Cameroonian government has signed many conventions to mitigate the risk of GBVs. Some of these are the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women, the Sustainable Development Goals with particular emphasis with goal number 5, achieving gender equality, which talks about achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls by 2030. The UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and when we come down to the regional level, we have the Maputo Protocol, which talks about the social and political equality with men. That's women are socially and politically equal to men, and it talks about their improved autonomy in reproductive health and to end female genital mutilation. African Union's campaign against child marriage, just to name a few. At the level of the government, we drew up a program since 2010, which is on the National Plan for Gender, and which brings up a holistic strategy to fight against gender-based violence. And this action plan, another action plan exists to combat child marriage, as well as another which is on female genital mutilation. Local community and vigilante groups have been installed, especially in the far north and southwest regions, which are reputed for carrying out the female genital mutilation. Some of these practitioners, their tools were seized and dissuaded from this exercise by giving them startup kits to change that profession. Yeah, that's the ministerial effort that came down to Bertoua to talk about gender-based psychosocial management of gender-based violence in a humanitarian context. The government has promulgated so many positive laws, and we can see with the penal code where child marriage is punishable. Gender-sensitive policies as well have been drawn up, and we have a multi-sectoral response with gender clubs lodged in every ministerial department. And when we come to the political field, there was a quota slated that every list should have at least 3 women to be retained. And there are so many facets, so many approaches with international organizations, non-governmental organizations, civil society, community-based organizations who work together in synergy with the government to tackle and curb the incidents of gender-based violence, as well as encourage every time to respect. At the same time, while we fight against gender-based violence, we should also think about the COVID-19 that has come to aggravate the incidence of this violence. I can see, thanks to the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family has been allocated that responsibility to fight gender violence, gender-based violence. And we can think about two main points that the ministry uses, that of prevention or protection, and that of management and response to gender-based violence cases of survivors. So in line above mentioned, the government, as I said, entrusted several missions to the ministry, amongst which is poverty alleviation and economic empowerment of the women and girls, because we all know that the two are very, very closely linked. And this is a strategy aimed at restoring peace and harmony in our families, fighting these GBVs and fostering sustainable development. Through the decentralized technical units like the Family and Women's Empowerment Centers spread all over the country, women have benefited from low-cost programs that offer formal and informal education. Like we saw in Bernard's presentation, most of the women haven't gone to school. And at these centers, the training is to build, is of capacity building, is to get professional training in various domains, which will enable them fend for their families, boost their self-esteem, and escape from the violence they're exposed to if they have to beg or ask for money or means of survival from the men, and to contribute in their own little way to nation building. The Bertoua Women's Empowerment and Family Center currently trains 160 young girls and women in various domains like interior relooking and decoration, catering and hotel management, tailoring, computer, aesthetics and hairdressing, tie and dye, and so many other domains. And I want to also emphasize here that we do carry out short-term and long-term training sessions. Women's groups can decide to come to the center. We want to learn how to do pastries, and we do that. So apart from the formal education that goes through in the school, there are short-term courses that the center offers. As far as the fight against gender-based violence is concerned, the ministry has embarked on prevention, protection, and management, as I earlier said,